Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Off the Wall, where we talk all things wall things.
That's right. Where it's all drywall all the time. We're talking USG Sheetrock Brand Drywall and joint compound.
I'm your host for today, Mr. Ulyses Espinoza, and with us is our resident expert, the sheetrock sage himself, Mr. Justin Delk. How you doing today, man?
Doing well. Thank you. Wow. The sheetrock sage, huh?
You've earned the moniker. Here in episode 2 of Off the Wall, we'll be celebrating the unsung heroes of joint compound.
Of course, we'll have all other great off the wall favorites too. We'll share some tips, reveal some hidden secrets, and answer a few contractor questions like why job site mock-ups are your best friend. So grab a mud bucket and join us for this edition of Off the Wall.
Off the Wall is brought to you by Sheetrock Brand, the unrivaled leader in drywall and joint finishing solutions. See the entire line of products at usg.com/unrivaled. Welcome back. In this episode, we are celebrating the unsung heroes of joint compound. Thankfully, today we have another resident expert with us, Mr. Jeff Zunk. And Jeff is a contractor specialty rep with USG, and he's been with the company for 18 years. And according to here, it says here that you're third generation USG, starting with your grandfather back in 1951.
Jeff, welcome to Off the Wall.
Thank you. Yeah, that's correct. There's been somebody in my family that's been working for USG for the last 70 years. You could probably say that USG is in my blood.
I don't doubt it. Thank you for joining us, Jeff. Let's cut right into it. Jeff, in general terms, can you tell us about the distinct levels of finish? What is it and how is it defined today?
Well, in 1990, the 4 major trade associations developed an industry-wide recommended levels of finish. This was done to make everybody who's involved in the building process be able to precisely describe the levels of finish and what's expected for projects. They identified and defined 6 levels, and the Gypsum Association describes these levels in detail in a document called the GA214. But there are 6 levels. The first level is just a level 0. And level 0 means that the board is either hung horizontally or vertically. There's no taping. There's no finishing and no accessories required at this time. It's used primarily in temporary construction. Again, that's a level 0. Level 1 is when all of the joints and interior angles have been taped. This is also known as fire tape. Level 2, all the joints and interior angles are taped and then wiped with a thin layer of joint compound. Now, this isn't like a full layer like a bed coat or a fill coat. It's just a real thin layer of joint compound that goes over the tape to moisten the tape and to help it dry equally. The fasteners have been hit, and the outside corner bead is installed. And typically, level 1 and level 2 are completed at the same time. Level 3 is the next level of finish. And it's just another layer of joint compound, or the first layer, I should say, of joint compound over top of the joints, the fasteners, and the angles. And you would use this level of finish, level 3, where a medium or heavy grade texture or a wall covering is to be applied. Now, level 4 is probably the most common level of finish. It's where most jobs are taken at this point. And that's when all your joints, angles, and fasteners have a third coat of joint compound. The surface is free of tool marks and excess joint compound. And this is a level where flat paints, light textures, and light wall coverings can be applied and let go.
That's right. Yeah, let's stop right there. So a level 4 would be considered what, a standard drywall finish?
For the most part, yep. About 80 to 90% of jobs are spec level 4, and that's how they end up.
Awesome. Take us into level 5.
Level 5, that just means that we've reached that level 4, and then we apply a layer of joint compound, a thin layer of joint compound, or a suitable substitute over top of the entire surface, and then a drywall primer. This is a recommended surface for darker paints, any sheen higher than a flat, or if there's critical lighting on the job. Level 4 is the most common, it's the most specified level of finish. But it's important to remember that level 4 is recommended for flat paints and for non-critical light situations. And many of today's projects have darker colors, higher sheen, critical lighting, and it really results in a need for a level 5 to be specified. Unfortunately, it's just not a lot of the time. The result is that these jobs are being specified level 4, and that the finish appearance that that the owner and architect are looking for is just not happening. You can start to see things flash, and there's just not enough coverage there to give you a good look.
Yeah, Jeff's absolutely right. So think about your commercial buildings in downtown cities that have glass all the way around them. The light's just barreling through down those walls, right? So it can pick up any imperfection in the wallboard. And if the finish isn't the accurate or correct finish, then the wall's not going to look acceptable. Another place where you see this is in your big homes where you've got big atrium windows that are shining in on the backside of these houses. And, that's what we consider critical lighting areas. You got your natural lighting coming in, and then you have lighting that's either installed in the ceilings that's shining down the wall or up the wall. That's what, kind of the definition of a critical lighting area is.
Yeah, good point, Justin. Those wall sconces can be pretty crazy too, shining down on the light. So it's best to really have a level 5 if you got those wall sconces like that.
Now that we understand the levels of finish, let's get right into the nitty gritty. For starters, tell us a bit about the fire taping and the pros and cons of taping versus AP and a bed coat and fill coat with APs and textures.
Now for taping, I recommend a joint compound that the finisher himself or herself is comfortable with. That's how finishers choose their taping compounds, by picking something that they're comfortable with that has excellent bond. Some examples of USG products that have excellent bond are all-purpose, total, taping, midweight, taping light, and ultralight all-purpose joint compound. They're all great options for taping. And now in some markets, one joint compound is used throughout the finishing process, and that could factor in to which joint compound is utilized by a finisher during the taping process.
What about the fasteners, Jeff? AP +3, ultra lightweight all purpose, what's best?
Well, for fasteners and coating of the joints, we want to choose a joint compound that's lower in shrinkage. Now, all-purpose is a very popular, all-purpose joint compound is a very popular joint compound for USG all across the country, and it's known for its bond and versatility. Great choice for using for all 3 coats. But some of the compounds out there that are great for second and third coats include total light, topping, midweight, +3, dust control, elite finish, and ultralight all-purpose. They're all great second and third coat compounds that don't shrink a lot and really excel when it comes to coating your fasteners and your seams.
And one thing to mention is that all of these joint compounds are regional. They're not all available within a certain area in the country. So we need to, if you're interested in any of these, you need to look at, what's available for your market demographic.
And Jeff, what about bed, fill coat, APs and textures?
So for texturing, almost any of the formulations we have are great texturing compounds. And really, when it comes to choosing a compound for texturing, personal preference is the main determining factor. Each of these compounds that we manufacture, they all have different characteristics and attributes that finishers might find work well with their specific techniques.
It's funny. One of the things that I tell a lot of my customers is there's no wrong way to finish a wall or to texture. We got many products that are available that can all be used with each other. They're all universal to be used together or by themselves. So that's, just a little small tidbit that, nobody does it the same. And there's many different ways to do it to get the same result at the end of the day.
So it seems to me like this comes a lot down to personal preference. So I guess my question is, Jeff, what's your personal preference?
I like ultralight all-purpose. I think that's a great mud to use all the way through. It's lightweight. It feels great in a taping tool. Doesn't shrink much. Very easy to sand. Ultralight all-purpose is probably my favorite mud.
Oh, great to know. And what about yourself, Delk?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I helped develop a new joint compound called Elite Finish. It's strictly a finishing compound, so we don't recommend that you tape with it. But that would probably be my number one mud. Toot, probably because I helped develop it.
Well, thanks for sharing, guys. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that appreciate this, because obviously there's a lot of products out there. So to have the experts weigh in on their personal preference, I'm sure that's going to go a long way for a lot of contractors out there. Jeff, I do want to talk about how all this adds up to aesthetics and agreements. So please help us understand how these two align and how the importance of mocking it all up really is.
Well, one of the most important things about levels of finish is meeting the expectations of the owner and the architect. And one tip that I'll pass out to my customers when working on jobs like this is the importance of a job site mock-up. And I recommend building a specific type of mock-up, a mock-up that is on wheels, that has the different finish paints applied to it. And it's important that it's on wheels so that it can be moved to different parts of the project to experience different light exposure. By doing this, you're setting the precedent. This is what this job is going to look like under these lighting conditions with this level of finish. And everybody can agree on something before the process has begun. This practice itself can eliminate hours and hours and hours of callbacks.
Absolutely. One of the things that I recommend to our customers, of the people that are asking these questions, is it's easier to do these things in the beginning than go and fix them in the end after the project is done. So I couldn't agree with you more that level 5 needs to be specified or in lieu used more often on projects.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jeff Zunk, for taking your time to appear with us, answering all our questions, and really giving us insightful information that honestly, many of us would never even have thought of. So very appreciative of your time.
Thanks for joining us on Off the Wall, Jeff.
Thanks, guys. It was great being here. Appreciate it.
Welcome back, everyone, to our next segment. It is called Mailbag. Now, this is when our contractors throw some questions at the proverbial wall, and we do our best to answer them. So here's how it works. I'm going to challenge our resident experts to respond to 3 questions that drywall pros like yourself have asked. And, just to keep things interested, why don't we keep track of how many gets right, how many gets wrong? Let's see how many we could stump them. So, Delk, ready for trial by fire?
I'm ready.
Here we go. First question. What is the recommended fastener spacing for attaching gypsum panels to walls and ceilings in non-fire rated assemblies?
Ooh, starting right off, with the tough one, huh? Let's see. When nailing into wood construction, it's recommended that spacing is 7 inches for ceilings and 8 inches for walls. When screwing into steel construction, the distance is 12 inches for ceilings and 16 inches for walls. And then, of course, be sure to refer to your fire test or your local municipality codes to see what they require for the fasteners and spacing distances.
Now, is there an instance where you would use nailing over screwing?
Absolutely. Residential would be mainly nailing, and your commercial construction would be mainly screws for your fasteners.
I tried throwing you a curveball, but you know what? You just shrugged that right off. Okay, Delk, great job. 1 for 1. Question number 2. What is the recommended spacing of control joints for gypsum panels for walls and ceilings?
The maximum spacing for control joint without perimeter relief is 30 feet for walls and ceilings. And then with perimeter relief, the maximum spacing for control joint is 50 feet.
Wow. Without missing a beat, without giving it a second thought, Mr. Justin, you are 2 for 2. All right, so let's move on to question number 3. I got a feeling this one's going to be the one that stumps you. Next question. Can you attach gypsum board directly to concrete?
That's a tricky one. The answer is no and yes. Neither USG nor the Gypsum Association recommend adhering gypsum panels directly to concrete or masonry. The reason for that is for water mitigation, moisture buildup on the backside of the board. But if you add RC channels or you use furring strips and you attach those directly to the concrete or the brick, then you can attach your wall board directly to those, and it helps to minimize the moisture that can compromise the board. So the answer is yes and no.
Wow. Justin, I'm tempted to give you extra credit for that one, but seeing how you already won, no need to. Now, if you got a question that you'd like to get an answer to, or if you think you got a really tough question that could stump our experts, send us your questions to usg.com/unrivaled. I'll say that one more time for everyone. That is usg.com/unrivaled.
Hey everyone, I've got the tip of the week. And the tip of the week is about mockups. A mockup includes creating a version of the project using the finishing material spec'd or approved for the project. This allows you to simulate the build out and the actual environment and with the similar lighting conditions. Jeff Zunk talked about mockups. And one thing I want to point out about what he explained was building the mockup on wheels. When you build the mockup on wheels, you can move it around the job site in the critical lighting areas that are needed. And then the GC architects, general contractors, the owners of the building can put their stamp of approval on, moving forward. This will help eliminate callbacks and save a lot of money at the end.
Off the Wall is brought to you by Sheetrock Brand, the unrivaled leader in drywall and joint finishing solutions. See the entire line of products at usg.com/unrivaled. Welcome to Wall Finds. Now, this is my personal favorite segment where we ask the burning question, what's behind the wall? This is where we uncover the strange, the odd, and frankly, just the downright weird things that contractors have found within or behind walls during demolition.
I've got to tell you, this one's pretty creepy and pretty weird.
Ooh, all right. Yogi, the amazing answer board knows all. Is this how you get all the answers right in the mailbag segment?
Science point 2. I'm not saying.
All right. So this is a weird find. Delk, what's the story?
Contractor was doing some work in removing a butler pantry. The plaster was removed and the Ouija board was seen inside the wall.
Huh. I mean, on the one hand, it's weird, but on the other hand, it kind of helps that it glows in the dark, right?
Yes, but that would be completely weird to see.
I don't doubt it. I do not doubt it. Okay, so the question is, how weird? Now, we have a very highly scientific, off-the-wall weird index, and this is how we rate our wall finds on a scale of 1 through 5, with 1 being, not weird at all, and 5, weirder than, a goblin shark. So that's our number 5. So what's your rating going to be for the Ouija board, Delk?
Ouija board, I'm going to give a 3.
A 3? Wow. All right. You know what? I'd be creeped out too. I think a 3 is a solid choice. I'm agreeing with you that one. Now, the Magic Yogi Ouija board says, and we got a 10. So this went off the scale. And you know what? I see no fault with that. It's a weird item. I know I would probably reconsider a lot of life choices if I found something like that hidden behind the wall. Delk, how about you?
Yeah, man, I wouldn't have given it a 10, but I'm not going to argue with the Ouija board. So
wise move and a smart man. I agree. Pick your battles, right?
What's the weirdest thing you've ever found on a wall? You can send your images or tag the USG Facebook or Instagram accounts at USG Corp.
Ooh, and with that, you know what? I think we should call it a day.
If you liked our show, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tell all the builders, designers, wallboard enthusiasts in your life. If you have comments, questions, or suggestions for our show, tell us at usg.com/unrivaled.
All right. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time. But until then, may your life and your walls always be smooth.
Thank you and so long.